Hey, what's going on? I am your host, Dharma Guy, and you're watching Dharma Time. And I've got my host over here, my co-host, Mr. The Dupe Doctor. How you doing?
What's up, brother?
Playing producer today, as usual.
Yeah, failing miserably.
That's all right, man.
No, we got to call the company. Huh?
That's no bueno.
Whatever.
We'll get a hold of them. We'll get it ironed out. Anyways, welcome. It is Tuesday. It is. You know what? It was a great day today on the way in.
Beautiful day.
I love it. I think him and I are probably the only two that I know of, anyways, that really enjoy overcast, cloudy, like rainy days. So I was driving in today. I was like, "Oh, this is such a nice day."
It really was.
Yeah, man.
Or is.
Yeah, I got into a dispute yesterday with my 14-year-old because she was like, "Nobody likes that. I hate those." I was like, I love those days. Yeah. Anyways, all right. So, man, you and I haven't had a chance to talk about today's show.
No.
Which I kind of like.
Yeah.
So,
but by the way, before you go into that, I just want to let you know that in the camera, those tattoos and that new shirt look really good.
Oh yeah,
they're coming off really good on this camera. Right
got
here.
the Dharma Time show right there.
Yeah. What a crisp look.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right. So let me set this up for a second.
Okay.
You know, for those of you who've watched the show, thank you. I appreciate that. Make sure you go subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. But for those of you watching the show, you know, the last 3 weeks we've done relationships, like a 3-part series on relationships. And today was going to be not really a part 4, but sort of a part 4. I was going to address more specifically relationships with coworkers and friends. And I was all set to do that show. We talked about it. We had it all ready to go. But then over the weekend, a few things took place that made me say, I have to scratch that and have to do a completely different show. And for those of you who follow me on social media, you'll see that I already posted previewing today's show, and the title was Disappointment and #metoo. I'm trying to combine a couple ideas. So today's show is Disappointment and #metoo. Now, kids, he's writing it down at the moment because we have literally not talked about this at all. We normally kind of, brainstorm on the way in, and we kind of talk a little bit and kind of wrap our heads around what the show's going to be about. But today is more of an impromptu. So enjoy. This is us at our best, I'm sure.
Woo! All right. You put me to the test here, brother. I like that. I love it.
Oh, yeah. You do it to me all the time on the couch, man.
That's true.
So
very true.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Anyways, all right. So I don't even know really where to begin. So I'm going to just kind of jump right in there. So over the weekend, the thing that most of you guys probably already know, there was like a report or something released when it comes to the Catholic Church, and the Catholic Church, you know, has a PR problem. I'm gonna put it lightly.
They're getting a lot of press today or yesterday.
Yeah, they got a PR problem, and that is basically, they, for whatever reason, they have not been able to eradicate pedophilia from their ranks. You know, it's a problem, number one. Number two, they're covering it up. Right. They kind of, they cover it up, they get rid of it.
Which is worse.
Which is even worse, absolutely. Right. It's bad enough that it happens in the first place. But then to not hold them accountable, to not punish them, to not have some sort of validation, you know what I mean? To be the victim of that and to watch them go free has got to be frustrating, right? But the people I'm talking to today are the ones who are looking up to said priest. You know, said priest is their moral compass, maybe, for some people.
Right.
Is the person who's helping them keep on a certain path. And then you go to church every Sunday, and you sit in the pews, and you're listening to these people, you're looking up to them, you're following their guidance, and then you find out that they did this. How do you feel about that?
Right.
And so I got a small taste of it this weekend. You know, not quite to that extent, because I don't view this person as like a hero or anything, but this person was my introduction into the path that I'm currently on, right? I'm going to, should I say the name? I guess I could say the name.
Yeah, 100%. Right.
So over the weekend, I saw a kind of a semi-conclusion, if you will, to a story that I first read back in March, I think it was. It was either March or May, one of the M's. But his name is Noah Levine. And so for those of you who haven't seen my previous videos or heard the previous shows, my introduction to the spiritual world, if you will, was through Noah Levine's books. And I was in a really dark place in my life. I was dealing with a lot of stuff, and I was just trying to wrap my head around kind of how to find some inner peace, right? Stumbled across some of the books through a mutual friend. I read them, and the words and the insight that he was able to provide kind of spoke to me on a level that I never been spoken to before.
Right.
And so that kind of was the catalyst to get me to dig deeper into spirituality, to kind of, view that as a possible way out, if you will, that I never thought before. And so it was just the way the way he wrote, the way he kind of talked. I related to some of his story. He didn't talk in like a Confucius says kind of a thing where you didn't understand anything he was saying. It was more relatable, I guess. And so I read the books, and that kind of then turned me on to, a bunch of different documentaries, a bunch of other books. From that point on, I kind of expanded and I read a lot.
Right.
Like I just became almost obsessed.
Like you said.
Yeah. But that was my introduction, right? And had it not been for his look, which looks very similar to mine, very tattooed up, things of that nature, had it not been for his delivery, the way he kind of approached it,
right,
it might not have had the same impact on me, because afterwards I did read some other books. There's another, very well-known author in that world, Brad Warner. And Brad Warner writes a lot about Zen Buddhism. And I always joke that if my introduction to Buddhist philosophy was through Zen, I never would have picked it up. Something about Zen just didn't sit right with me. I take aspects that I like, but the overall philosophy just doesn't jive with where I was at that point in my life. So my point being is Noah Levine was really kind of a good introduction for me, And so in March, it was either March or May, once again, I read a story where they came out and said that, he's got two different things going on. He's got Against the Stream, like meditation centers where he teaches and things of that nature. And then he's got Refuge Recovery.
Right.
And Refuge Recovery is in the drug and alcohol treatment world. And so those two things are going on. Well, apparently in the Against the Stream centers, if you will, there was some allegations there of sexual misconduct, is what they called it. So when I first read that, my first thoughts were like, whether this is true or not, this is going to be a stain on his record, if you will.
Right.
So I honestly didn't think much of it. I kind of just read that. I was like, oh, that's weird. I think at that point, I was giving him more of a benefit of the doubt,
Because there was a lot coming out then.
Yeah, absolutely. So so over the weekend, I don't remember what it was. I've been reaching out to some of his publicists, actually, to get him on this show as an interview, which I feel it's more likely now once they start doing some PR work. We'll see.
Well, they're disbanding, aren't they?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he is.
Oh, no, I thought they disbanded the whole thing.
No, one monkey. Well, some of the stuff is shutting down, but
okay.
he's still going to have Refuge Recovery.
Okay.
But anyways, I digress.
Sorry, that was my fault.
No worries. So I read the report, and what's happening now is he is no longer part of Against the Stream. And as you said, they are basically shutting down a lot of their centers. Like they're not going to exist anymore.
Right.
And he started that. That was his thing.
Yeah. And
the reason why was because there was multiple allegations apparently of sexual misconduct. Half of which, now I'm being very careful here. I don't want to, I don't want to.
Right, because there's no convictions.
Yes, there was no convictions. It was not a legal matter.
Right.
It was handled in house, but their board, I guess, is full of a bunch of like lawyer types, and they all kind of did their own investigation. And it was supposed to be on this one individual, but as they got started, multiple individuals started coming out and making other accusations.
Right.
And so at the moment, the accusations, at best, the accusations are he inappropriately used his position as a spiritual leader amongst the community to have sexual intercourse with people who were kind of under his tutelage. Right. That's the best case scenario.
Right.
Worst case scenario, some of the sexual stuff was non-consensual. Now, you can take from that what you want. I know most people run towards assault and rape. It didn't specifically say those words, but non-consensual typically hovers in that arena, if you will.
Yeah. Pretty much.
So, I mean, in a legal definition, it could be a multitude of different things. Having said that, for me, it was kind of a weird thing for me, right? Like, it wasn't devastating in a sense because I don't consider him like a hero to me. I don't watch his videos or anything.
Right.
But I can't deny that he was an instrumental part in where I'm at now. Like, I can't deny that. So for me, it was like, it was weird. When I read the stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, like, what does this mean now moving forward? Because, I don't really teach from his stuff anymore at this point. I kind of have my own little style, my own little thing.
Right.
But I do recommend his book sometimes. And so I was thinking, like,
you've recommended him to me.
Yeah. But I was thinking to myself, can I still recommend him? Because if somebody Googles him, they're going to find this out. And so does he lose credibility? Like, in a sense, he's kind of tarnished. It's hard to take the moral high ground in Buddhism now when a higher ranking, and I say higher ranking, he's not like the Dalai Lama. You know, if you're
Right,
not within this circle, you're probably not going to notice him. It's kind of the equivalent of, I don't know, in your local community, some well-known like priest or something, or
well, he's probably like the Jim Baker of that particular faith right now in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
At least in the recovery world, for sure.
Yeah. If you're in that circle, you know his name.
If you're in the recovery world, you know about him.
Yeah, but if you're outside of those worlds, you might have never heard of him.
Yeah, we don't even
Yeah,
know.
he's not like Billy Graham.
Yeah, he's not. He hasn't crossed over.
No, not at all.
Good, which is good.
Yeah,
because that would have been bad.
But Googling things, you're going to find it.
Right.
And so, as a practitioner, up to this point, our main dude, if you will, was the Dalai Lama. And who's I mean, come on, it's like, who doesn't like the Dalai Lama? You might not like some of those things he may or may not stand for, but he himself, I mean, come on, he's never done anything wrong to anybody that I know of. And so,
yes,
yeah, that I know of.
Yeah, you better.
That's my disclaimer. But so anyways, so they got me to thinking though. It's like a double-edged sword, right? Because a lot of stuff happened this weekend.
Yeah.
The Catholic Church stuff came out, the Noah Levine thing came out, and then there was a social media platform that we're both on that we've kind of spent some more time on lately. Mm-hmm. And so now that I'm on there more, I'm paying attention to what people are posting and putting on there, and I've already known it's run rampant on Instagram and Facebook. Okay. Like I did shows on it, sliding in your DMs, people sending pics and things of that nature, just stuff that's unwarranted and uncalled for. Right. But the other, I'll say it, LinkedIn, right? Mm-hmm. We've been focusing more time on LinkedIn lately, and LinkedIn, you and I talked about it. We joked that it's more of a professional thing, right? It's kind of understood. Yeah. Well, I saw somebody post the other day, like a public service announcement of like, hey guys, stop sending me these pics. This is a professional thing. Like, why? If you want to network with me or if you're in my industry, that's great. But even if you are or you aren't, this isn't like a romantic thing. I'm going to block you or whatever.
Wow.
And so for me, I was like, really? On here too?
That hasn't happened to me there.
I was just like, wow, dude. Like, it's everywhere. And so that got me thinking about the Me Too thing. It's just like, I remember asking my wife over the weekend when all this stuff happened, especially with Noah Levine. I was just like, I remember looking at her just in astonishment. Like, are you serious? Why can't dudes just stop?
It's not just dudes.
Touche. But those are the ones that are getting all the attention at the moment. And those are the ones that are kind of like, some of the ones that you wouldn't think of are coming out. But go ahead. You got a point to make. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say is because when the dudes do it, it can be more offensive because, the female that they do it with really doesn't like it and takes a high offense to it. Whereas when a female does it, the guys, they may look at it, they may not friend it or anything like that, but you're not going to get offended. It's just like, oh, okay, that's a porn site. Don't click on that.
Right.
But I don't feel offended. You know what I mean? But it happens all the time.
The only one that I heard
of. Hello.
Sure.
And then you go to the profile to see, do I really want to follow this back? No.
Well, I got that one girl on Facebook that constantly hit me up for money, like asking me to don't. I don't feel offended by it.
Yeah.
She did reach out again.
She did? That's funny.
Yeah. I have this ongoing thing of this girl that keeps reaching out on Facebook. But see, that's asking me for money stuff. She's not sending me like grotesque, pictures of herself saying, "Hey."
But even if she was, it's not like you would feel offended. No. You would just be like, "That looks nice, but let me delete it." Don't be sending me that crap. Get me in trouble. You know what I mean? It's not.
But I don't. But I don't want. I think there's a false equivalency there a little bit though. Like I also don't have a fear of losing my job. I don't have a fear of being raped by these people either.
Well, I think that's where the other thing. When you were talking about the DMs is one thing. When you're talking about Noah Levine and the priest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but I think just in general, like even on social media, there's stalkers that can find out your home address and things of that nature. So I think there's a false equivalency there that it's the same because it's not.
Right.
It's similar. Yeah, but it's not the same.
There's people's their jobs are looking at their LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So that's the way some people get hired is through LinkedIn. Yeah. So if they see that they're communicating with somebody like that, they may not take them seriously.
Yeah. And so I think that I don't know, man. I was just in disbelief, right? I was just like it's a little almost disheartening because it's like, dude, are you serious? Like it's really run rampant, I don't know if you see as much of it as I do because I think we have a different base that we talk to, like on Facebook and whatnot. Right. My base is probably just a little bit younger. I have a lot more.
He loves to say that. He just loves to say that.
I'm not as old as you are, dude. But no, I just think that not only that, but you've been married a lot longer than I have, and so you have different
Mr. Blood is
following.
thick, Mr.
Yeah.
Crickling, crackling, and needing a doctor.
Anyways.
Yep. You're younger,
Oh, it's okay.
just broken down.
You're young at heart.
Just
but no,
healthier. I'm just healthier.
But no, I see a lot of people posting about it, and there's a lot of females on my timeline that will like screenshot stuff and send it out.
Right.
And your wife is not on social media. Mine is.
Correct.
So my wife has had guys call her,
Yeah. I don't
sending
get any of
videos of them doing things that they
Wow.
probably shouldn't be
that.
doing.
Wow, I don't get none of that.
Yeah.
Nor do I want any of it. So let's not start.
Yeah. But I mean, how do we stop that, dude? Right? Like
You don't.
And my mom even asked me a
Don't.
question the other day. It was like, how do we raise our kids even like in this world? Like, I thought for sure I would never have to like teach my son not to
Right.
send a pic of his penis to some random person. But
Right.
maybe I do. Maybe
Yeah.
I need to have that conversation. I mean, obviously not now at 7. But
Well-
at some point, as he gets older, I'm gonna have to sit him down. Like, look, son, don't do this.
I think as soon as they get a camera. I mean, as soon as they have a phone that has
Right.
a camera, I think you have to have that conversation.
Well, he already has one. 'Cause
Oh,
his mom bought
then
him
yes, you absolutely need to have that conversation. Is to just be careful
one. Yeah.
what pictures you send to anyone or what you snap.
But I think it's the thing that I wanted to focus on a little bit, and I don't mind taking this wherever it goes. But I know there's a few ideas that I want to get across. Right.
Yeah.
And the first one that I absolutely want to get across is I want to talk to that person. The person who does look up to these people, the person who does view this person as an inspiration, as their moral compass and things of that nature, who could very well feel betrayed. They could look at that and feel betrayed. They could feel let down, and some of them can turn away from the faith because they feel so destroyed over it. And so for that person, I want to make sure that they get a couple things. The first one is it wasn't the philosophy that let you down.
Right.
It wasn't the religion. It wasn't the philosophy. It wasn't the
faith.
the ideals or the faith. It was the person.
Yeah.
And it's important to always remember, as human beings, we're all flawed. And that was the thing that I had to remember going into this was, I can still recommend books. I can still recommend, his words, because those words don't change. The meaning behind them are still the same. He is a flawed man. I don't agree with what he did, but I have to respect the fact that he's still a human being. He's still flawed, and he has to obviously work on whatever it was that was causing him to have that mindset, if you will. But the philosophy of Buddhism still is very real. It's been around for 3,000 years, dude. It's not one man.
Well, yeah, but if you recommend those books, then you put money in his pocket to defend against these women.
Oh, I have the free ones. Yeah. No, but
Well, just because you have the free ones doesn't mean that when you recommend it,
yeah, but I wouldn't recommend them right now. To be honest with you, I
you're just gonna have to rewrite it.
at this point, yeah. I mean, at this
I mean,
point,
really, the answer is, Trinity, is that you
I need to
and
write a
people
book.
like you need to write the parts that touched you,
right.
and you need to put it out there so that people have that option to still get this,
Right.
the message in this way,
Right.
yet not put money in the defense attorney's pocket.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing with him, though. It's not legal.
It will,
Yeah, very well could be. I expect it to at some point.
right,
Um,
or at least civil.
Yeah. But my main thing, though, is I think it's important, though, that we as human beings understand that these heroes that we have are flawed. They're not these perfect people.
Right.
And not only that, but oftentimes what we're shown is the good side. They're not going to come out and publicly show their bad sides or their not so pleasant sides.
Unless it's in the past.
Yeah. And that reminds me, there's another moment that I kind of had to I had to ponder on it for a second. It was a couple weeks ago. We were out having a lunch with somebody. We were having lunch and we were talking about something for the foundation, the nowmattersmore.org, 833 Now Matters. Nice little plug there.
Nice.
But no, we were talking about the foundation and we were going to do something with it. And we were having to meet with somebody. And prior to getting to the business of the meeting, we were kind of just, we were bantering back and forth. And politics came up. And this particular person, I don't remember the context of it, but I remember the phrase, basically.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking about Trump, and they were talking about some of his extracurriculars that are happening with the porn stars and whatnot.
Right.
And this person was, they're not a huge fan of Obama, but they respected certain aspects of Obama. But one of the things that they said, a statement that stuck out to me that had to make me pause for a second, was they were talking under the assumption that Obama probably was unfaithful, but he's keeping it out of the
Big
limelight.
time. No, that was said in a way
Yes.
that like they knew something.
Yes, they were like, "Oh, well,
right? It was like
yeah."
it was odd.
But for me, I had to stop on that for a second because my initial response was like, what? You're crazy. But then I had to stop. I was like, but you don't know. Right? As much as I would love to believe that Obama is this, what I thought he was.
Right.
Regardless of his policies, like he's a great orator. He seems like he stands for good, morals. He seems like he's always been a great father, a great husband.
Right.
That's what's been portrayed, and I want to believe that. I really do. Right. And I'm going to still believe that until something else happens.
Correct.
Right.
There's no reason not to.
Of course. But the way she put it was like, hey, at least he keeps it out of the limelight because they all do it. And that's a very pessimistic way of looking at things. However, some could argue that's a very realistic way of looking at things in these days with all this stuff coming out.
But it was also a person that could also be viewed as a hero or mentor.
Yeah.
And so coming from that perspective of saying these people are exactly the same, they just portray themselves differently.
Right.
It would make you read, it's almost like physics and looking around the world, how physics changed the way you look at solids and liquids. I think that kind of comment makes us look at everyone and go, hey, man, there was a time where we thought Tiger Woods was...
Yeah, man. He had a huge fall.
I mean, I think just like a month before that happened, my wife and I were saying, isn't it great how Tiger Woods, is like nothing ever bad comes out about him?
Yeah, and then that happened.
So nobody is safe. And then Matt Lauer, you think of people like Tiger Woods, Matt Lauer, Bill Cosby.
Yeah, Bill Cosby.
I mean, these are three huge names. So now you add to that Noah Levine and the Pope not doing it, but the Pope not condemning it. In other words, not...
Well, hiding it.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be honest.
And then hiding it is just like a person that hides someone else's gun that was in the scene of a murder.
You're an accomplice at this point.
It's an accomplice.
You're enabling that behavior.
You're the driver of the getaway car.
Yeah.
I mean, for the Pope to be in that position, probably one of the most favorite popes in a long time.
Yeah, man.
I mean, real deal.
Yeah,
my favorite for sure.
Absolutely.
My favorite ever for sure.
Yeah.
To be involved with that, I mean, it's like
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's blowing up right now.
It's huge.
And so that's what made me think of all this was like just between just those names you said. You got Bill Cosby, which was like such a great show.
Everybody's dad.
It was good comedy,
and clean.
Some people didn't like it, but it was huge. It made it huge. He definitely came into. He was a black man at a time where black men weren't really in everybody's household. He made it into everybody's household. The show was great. It was on for years. Everybody loved it. It was like a quintessential black family that wasn't what you normally would put at that time. And then you had, just wow, dude. It's like, man, every time I turn around, somebody that you think you might know, like, somebody who's presenting themselves one way, you have no clue what's happening behind closed doors.
Right.
And so it kind of makes me think that,
those are all big names.
We can't lose faith in humanity, though. I don't think we can get to that point. I don't want us to get to the point where we just expect the worst from people.
But at least it also proves the point that we talk about a lot on this show and on the Couch Live, which says appreciate the person for what they are to you.
Yeah.
Don't expect them to be more than that to everyone else or to you even.
Well, and that right there, I'm glad you used that word, expect.
Right.
I think that's a huge problem. And we actually talked about a little bit on relationships, but we're going to talk about it in this way as well. Those expectations we have are what lead to our disappointments. Like, I had to be very, very careful to not place these high horse
icons,
kind of expectations on, like Noah, for instance.
Yeah.
Or Obama or anybody else.
Right.
I can't put these expectations that those never live up to.
Right.
Those are my expectations. Their job in life is not to meet my expectations.
Correct.
Their job in their life is just to live their life. And they're going to make good decisions, then they're going to make bad decisions.
Yeah, but some would say that they now place themselves in a position of that.
They definitely place themselves
you don't
in the
think
public eye.
Obama feels the responsibility of never, ever, ever showing or presenting anything that could be disrespectful to other black people?
I think he should.
I mean, he has now been placed as the black man of the world.
I think he should, but I don't think he has to.
No, correct. But I think if I were him, I would feel
Absolutely.
that immense
But I think
weight.
that's part of the problem, right? Is not everybody has that feeling. Not everybody is thinking, hey, this is bigger than me.
Right.
Like, I don't think some of these people, I don't think Bill Cosby was thinking, hey, I don't need to be doing these things because I'm Bill Cosby. Like, look at what I mean. I don't think he was thinking that. I think he was just living his life.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of a statement. I know we're both old enough to realize this or remember this. I don't know if everybody else is, but Charles Barkley. Remember, he came out a long time ago. I'm not a role model.
I'm not a role model. And he's right.
He's
He's damn right.
right.
But you know what? That's what makes him my role model.
Yeah, he's honest about it.
Because he's funny. He makes fun of himself. He makes fun of other people. He sticks his foot in his mouth all the time.
Yeah.
To me, he's the perfect role model.
My mom met him numerous times when she worked in the jail.
Yeah?
When
he went into jail?
Well, there's one
when he got in trouble downtown Orlando?
It was downtown. He threw somebody
threw the guy
window,
through the glass.
And, she was there when he came in. But
I love Charles Barkley.
But I remember when that came out, right? Like, part of me understood and respected what he said.
100%.
But the other part of me says, well, wait a minute now. But you've chosen a lifestyle where that kind of comes with it.
He got attacked for that.
Whether you want it to be or not, you are a role model.
Yeah.
And so I think that, and once again, though, this is my philosophy. I think too much is given, much is expected. Right. You know, I think when you reach a certain status, I think that it's almost your duty to portray that. However, that's my belief.
Right.
And so I can't get upset at somebody because they don't have the same belief system that I do.
Mm-hmm.
As much as that disappoints me, as much as I wish it was different, I have to accept the fact that they have their own lives and they have their own belief system. As much as I would want it for it to be different. So that's the thing is like for Obama, like I would hope that Obama would conduct himself in a way knowing that all these people there you go. All these people are looking out for him or looking up to him and you know, he's got a lot of weight on his shoulders.
Tons.
I would hope that he makes decisions knowing that.
And I would hope that anyone in that position would understand that.
I just use him as an example, but absolutely.
Because you know, going back to Charles, let's take that into where he was who he was hanging around with at the time, especially.
Yeah.
Very good friends with Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods. Those three guys were gambling buddies, but the only one that really admitted that he gambled like crazy and he was Charles.
Yeah,
Charles was more open. Came out. Yeah, Jordan was more open. I mean, Charles was more open about his dirtiness, but we still never heard anything so inappropriate other than his gambling. And he makes fun of that. I'm a degenerate gambler is what he calls himself.
Yeah, an eater. He always makes fun of those.
And those three guys were always together. So what one does, it kind of bleeds onto the other.
Yeah.
So can you imagine when things like that happen and then you're Charles and you're Michael? Michael's like, whoa, back up. You don't want to give up that Nike money.
No.
So the point I think that you're really saying here is that we may become disappointed ourselves. There's a way to protect ourselves from that disappointment.
Yeah.
But also, if you are going to venture further in your professional career and put yourself in positions where people are or you're liable to disappoint others, just respect that.
Yeah, I think it's a double-sided argument. I think for us...
I mean, we're in that position.
Yeah.
I mean, brother, if I go out there and do something really crazy and stupid right now, there's a lot of people that would be very disappointed in me in a very serious way.
I purposely don't post certain things because I know that I have eyes on my page.
Right.
Because I feel like I'm representing more than just me.
Yeah, you don't want to hear my humor, and we don't want to hear yours.
Yeah.
Well, we heard a little bit of yours.
Well,
you can go further than I can go, though.
I got to let it out sometimes.
No, but you can go further. You don't hold that license that says I can close the door and have a very confidential conversation with you. My certification, I would never be able to counsel a young female if I would post some of the stuff you did.
Maybe. Yeah, I can see that.
You know what I mean? So I purposely don't put anything on my computer or anything like that because of that one-to-one ability to have that conversation. Right. You know what I mean? So you have to be aware of that stuff.
Well, and not only that, but we have the biggest ones in the world. We have our children. They're looking to us every day for role model men. Like, what is a man supposed to do? And so I take that very seriously, right? But I think those are the two main arguments, I think, when it comes to Me Too and the disappointment and whatnot.
Well, that's why I just disappoint him early, just so I don't have anything.
Lower that bar, baby.
I lower the bar.
But I think from the disappointed perspective, I think that we have to understand and be careful putting expectations on people and placing them as, like you said, an icon or on the high horse type deal.
Yeah.
Be careful elevating somebody to a level that they don't need to be in.
Correct.
Don't forget that they're still humans.
Yeah, and if you're the one out there saying, well, they put themselves in that position, well, then so did you by having a kid.
Yeah.
By you having a kid, then from now on, then, you don't look at any naked people on your computer or naked people. That say, you know what I mean? Because now you're a parent, and now you have to live up to that. See, so yeah, we should all then.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We should all be in it. Just because somebody makes more money or has a higher status doesn't mean they need to behave better than I do. Like, we should all behave that. We're all representation of our families, of ourselves, of our upbringing. Right. So I think we should all maintain that status.
Yeah.
Just because Obama has a bigger name than I do doesn't mean that he should behave better than me. Right. Like, I think we should all behave that way. I think there's a certain standard that we should all have. The difference is, for whatever reason, as a society, we give me more leeway than we give him.
And just for the record, I don't need all y'all to have that. I don't want y'all to hold yourselves up to the same standard as I do, because it is entertaining as hell. But I don't. Funny. But I don't want anybody abusing and hurting someone else in a sexual manner. And I think
or in any manner.
Well, physical manner, I'm not as. To be honest, I'm just not as offended. If I find out, Charles Barkley throwing someone through glass, to me is nowhere near.
The guy probably deserved it.
Is nowhere near. Someone taking sexually advantage of an employee or something. In other words, Noah Levine's accusations are worse than the Charles Barkley accusations to me.
Right.
To me. I view when you take someone else's, when you abuse someone else's pain,
right,
and their wounds, and I think when you take advantage of a woman sexually, a lot of times, because you and I have both been out there. We've seen the wounded women.
Yes.
They're limping around with like one leg is definitely wounded, and you know who they are.
Very much so. Yeah.
So for us to take advantage of those women in any way, manipulate them in any way, or just say, well, they wanted it, I didn't even have to ask. They asked me. But you knew.
Yeah.
You knew. A matter of fact, it is the exact reason why I would not have any sexual relations with intoxicated women when I was out there. I did not like it because it bothered me.
Absolutely. Same here. Well, and that's the other thing too. Is that's why I said for Noah, like in that situation, because he came out and admitted that some of it was consensual. Like he actually had it.
Right.
The dispute here is what was consensual and what wasn't. Right. But even to me personally, I think what he did was unethical at best.
Well, by the way, it should always be 100% consensual.
Yeah, exactly.
There shouldn't be a some of it was.
Exactly. But to me, ethically speaking, I think he did something that I would never do. Right, because we've done groups, and I've had people in groups who...
And you've had to close the door.
Yeah.
And you've had comments and conversations that are a little deep.
Yeah, and I've had, afterwards, I've had, comments made to me from some of the female clients that are inappropriate.
Correct.
And I made sure I put the kibosh on that quickly. Right? And A, because it's just the right thing to do, and B, for me, it's just very unethical. Because even if I liked it, it's unethical, dude. That person came to me as a teacher, as a leader, as a confidant, not as an equal. There's an intermediate power imbalance there when they're coming to you for answers. That I think it's unethical to use that in a way that you gain from it somehow, some way.
And I can back you up on that, because I remember you calling me and asking me if it was even okay to have these certain conversations, not just from women though, even from men.
Yeah.
You actually would come to me. As that supervisor and as that person that you knew was in it longer, and asked about it. So I can actually attest that you actually are 100% correct in what you're saying. You're not just saying it; you actually lived it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because there was a few.
So I can testify.
Yeah, preach on, brother. But so I think from the disappointment standpoint, I think that's part of it. Though I think that we do need to kind of just adjust our expectations slightly. I think we need to look at people and by all means have admiration for some of their accomplishments or their deeds, if you will. But I think it's important to balance that out with a little bit of reality. Reality not being that they're going to do something bad, but reality being they're human. And we all make mistakes. You don't know the plight of that person's life. You don't know what their mental status is. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know kind of what's happening to them, what's happened in their past. Like, you don't know any of that stuff.
Correct.
And so while they might accomplish these things publicly that are very good or very amazing and they help, life, there's always another side. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying everybody has that dark side, but everybody has that dark side. And some people are darker than others, but I think we all have things that we do or have said in our lives that we're not necessarily proud of.
Right.
And there's different degrees of that. And so I think we have to remember that. I think that's important. So for me, that's what I do moving forward is, I don't expect the worst, but like you said, I appreciate them for what they have done. Right. No matter what, just to keep reusing the same names that we've been using, if Obama were to come out right now and something happened in his past, it wouldn't negate what he's done that was good. I would feel disappointed that potentially he could undo some of that for some people. But for me, he wouldn't have undone it.
It depends. If it was a Bill Cosby deal,
that would be a rough one, man.
If we would find out that, then it would negate everything. To me.
Yeah, I think it could.
To me, because there is no way, I can look at Bill Cosby or hear Bill Cosby, and I'm still very, very upset that those shows are on television right now. I'm very upset that anyone is still promoting any art that man has done.
Well, I can see that for sure.
I mean, I don't think we've had a bigger criminal in the last decade than Bill Cosby that has been arrested. To me,
yeah,
and because I have daughters, I've counseled so many wounded women,
right,
and so many women that have suffered abuse, and so many women that have gone into the world of addiction as a way to heal their pain, knowing how much pain sexual misconduct causes, and there is no greater predator in the last decade that I can even think of than Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
So yes.
What was the problem? Like 50-some women? It was insane.
Too many.
For decades.
Too many.
He did. That was like his full-time job. That's what he did.
Since the 60s, 70s or whatever.
That's crazy to me.
So it wasn't even the last decade. It was just 40, 50, his entire career. So can you imagine the real number?
Yeah.
The real
ones
number.
that didn't know or didn't come
The ones that are
forward.
now passed away dead.
Yeah.
The ones that have died of suicide that we don't know about.
Yeah.
The ones that have died in their addiction that we don't know about. The ones that are saying something but nobody's listening.
Yeah. It's horrible.
So
you know? And I think that I mean when it comes to expectations, I think it's important to do that. Number one. Number two, for some of our religious leaders, our spiritual leaders, right? Like because Bill Cosby was an entertainer. I don't know how many people went to him for their moral compass.
No, he put himself in the moral thing. Remember, he would go to the black universities,
yeah,
and he would tell people, "This is how a black man should act. You guys are acting like fools. You shouldn't curse.
I do.
You shouldn't wear gang things.
Right.
You shouldn't dress like this. Wear your pants correctly. Wear your clothes correctly.
I can see that.
Be responsible. Get your
Yeah, I forgot
education."
about all that.
He was a moral compass. He put himself as the moral compass. See, if he was just an entertainer and a comedian,
Right.
it would be one thing. No, he put himself as the moral compass of what a black man should be. So a lot of us gave him respect to say, yes, we need more black men like that.
Oof. Just that phrase right there. Oh, God, that kills me.
And it's horrible.
Yeah, it's absolutely true.
Because we all within our own community need that. Like we need more Spanish leaders other than just El Chapo.
Yeah.
But if I say, give me a Mexican leader, you're going to say Pancho Villa and El Chapo. Or, you know what I mean? It's like you know our gangsters, you know our criminals, but you don't know our true leaders.
No,
and it's no different in the black community. You only
I
know
can't deny
those that are either in the entertainment industry, music industry, or have been arrested. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that. Absolutely. I would say though that when I say spiritual leaders, I mean in the religious faith.
I know you were thinking about faith, but I had to take it to the educational realm.
No, you're right.
Because of the universities, Howard University and stuff like that.
No, it needs to
FAMU.
be said for sure. And for that, I agree 100%. But right now, what I'm thinking of is, like, what comes to my mind is, what was that guy's name? I cannot remember it. I think it was Taggart. I think it was.
Yeah. Swaggart.
Swaggart. Was it?
Jimmy Swaggart. Or
No.
something like that.
I think it was Taggart. It was a guy that was in public eye. He was very, very anti-gay, very anti-drugs.
I think that is Swaggart.
Okay.
He was a guy of faith.
Yeah, it was like an evangelical preacher, but huge.
Yeah,
like I'm
Swaggart.
talking mega churches. His name was everywhere. He was on TV. He was in politics. And then he got caught with transvestite hookers doing
still rebuilding.
blow, right? And oh yeah, no, but he even had a setback after he started his rebuilding, right? Obviously, he's got issues. But what I'm trying to think of is for those of us who aren't in that particular realm, if you will, we can look at it like a car crash from the outside. Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
But in those mega churches, there was legitimate people who looked up to these people.
Yes.
There was little kids who like looked up to and idolized them. Like, I want to be like them when I grow up.
Yes.
And there was parents who were like, yeah, you want to be like him. That's a good role model. We're going to take you every Sunday to watch this guy.
Right.
We're going to build our life around what this dude's saying. And then that happens.
But within a church, they're able to do the spin that says the devil. And that evil creeps in all men, and that all men have sin.
Yeah, but it's
and all
still
men
devastating.
come from sin. So it is devastating, but I'm talking about to the flock itself.
Yeah.
In other words, they lose less flock than harming new recruitment.
Right.
I think it definitely harms the new recruitment.
Yeah.
But to the flock does not want to believe, like you're not leaving the Buddhist faith.
No.
But a person now coming into Buddhism, if they were getting it that way, if they're just in treatment
and that's what worries me.
this week,
yeah,
and just hearing about Noah Levine this week and Buddhism this week, then they would close their ears a little bit.
Well, that's what worries me.
Right.
What worries me is, number one, first of all, him and I look very similar as far as our presence, our tattoos and things of that nature. So if you don't know anything about the spirituality, but you Googled him, and then here's another tattooed guy coming in trying to talk to you about very similar stuff, inevitably that question is going to come up. Like, well, whatever.
And you're in the recovery community talking it.
And so for me, that the way I'm going to address that is our philosophy states this very same thing. Like, we're all human, we're all flawed. It's not the philosophy; it was him. He obviously had some issues that he hasn't worked out. Right. But yeah, it worries me though that one of the, I don't want to say moral high ground, but I want to say that there's not a huge legacy at the moment, mainstream legacy of Buddhists just losing their mind and killing a bunch of people, bombing people, and just acting like a fool. You say Christianity, you got the Crusades. Right. You say,
I mean, you got a lot more than that. But you got abortion clinics.
You got abortion clinics. You got Timothy McVeigh. Of course.
Yeah.
And then you say Muslim. Of course, that's we're in that decade right now.
You got the planes.
So if you say Buddhism, you got a couple monks here and there. You got the stuff happening over in the Philippines.
You got Richard Gere.
Yeah, but for the majority though, there's not a lot of. They're not running rampant right now, right? And so, in a sense, we kind of had that safe space, that moral high ground almost, where we can't, you can't point to a decade where we were just slaughtering people. Right. But now it's like, well, wait a minute, one of your popular guys over here is doing this, right. And so it does worry me to an extent. I mean, it's been around for 3,000 years, so I'm not afraid it's going away.
Oh no, give props to Hinduism if you're going to go there.
Yeah, Hinduism been around even longer.
I mean, geez.
So it's not going away. But I definitely, it adds a component to a conversation that we need to reiterate to people, though, and that is there's a difference between a philosophy or a religion and the people who interpret it, and the flawed male or female, the flawed human that is within that and preaching and things of that nature. There's a vast difference. I'm not a Christian myself. I'm a non-believer, but I'm not anti-religion like I used to be. Right. Because it's not religion. It's the people that interpret it who turn religion into something that doesn't tolerate people or whatever. Religion itself, if we all lived that code, minus, the revelations, minus the first whole half, I think the world would be a much better place if we all had those kind of ideals for the most part. Right. And that's with any religion because they're all kind of the same for the most part. So I think it's important that we understand that there's a difference between the two.
And one of the strongest common threads and the common denominators in all this is the inability for us as humans to really understand and get a good grasp on sexuality.
Yeah.
Sexuality
McKinsey report showed that
is just such a complex deal in this human brain. And so many people out there are living with such fantasies that they can never feel free to express. And so they're in these bubbles and they're in these closets and they're in these lifestyles that does not permit them to be who they really are. And
who they think they are.
Who they think they are. Yeah. For whatever reason, whether they were abused into it or whether they were born into it. I'm not going to get into that conversation, but the point is that we joke a lot about it. They're coming out. Because they will all be out, but we have to be very careful of this subject and this topic because we have to just understand that everybody has a sexual button. Yeah. Whether you've turned yours off, whether yours you think is always off or under control, but just know that for most people walking around, everybody has a different sensitivity of that button, and it's a very dangerous button.
It is, man, and it's I don't know, man. I don't know where we go from here. To be honest with
you, that's a Dharma Time show. Sexuality, period.
Yeah, but I don't know where we go from here. It's interesting to kind of step back and look at it. You have the metoo movement right now, which is calling out all sorts of people at the moment. Right. Nobody's safe right now.
No. I'm safe.
Well,
no. I'm safe. No,
what I meant is no demographic is safe.
Correct.
Male, female, old, young, whatever. They're all being called out right now. Yes, I believe you and I both.
I'm just putting it out there. If you're gonna say nobody's safe, I just want everybody to know. And Dana, I'm safe, baby.
Well, I said
we're
that
not getting that phone call
over the weekend. I said it to my wife. I was like, dude, why can't men keep their blank in their pants?
No, come at me, bro.
Yeah, and my wife was like, well, not everybody's like you.
Yeah,
and I was like, you know what, you're right.
Yeah,
but it's
and we're heading to Vegas in like a month.
Yeah, man.
And we're gonna prove once again that we're safe.
Yeah, absolutely. But it is disheartening, though. It's like, as a man, it's disheartening to step back and just watch men giving men a bad name. There's men out there just acting like idiots, man. Like, what is wrong with you? Yeah. People in power abusing that power, even on social media, like, sending all sorts of pics. Like, stop. Right. Seriously, stop it. If you're listening,
Right.
stop. Like, stop, please.
Tell them.
It's ridiculous, man.
Tell them.
You know.
Nobody wants to see it.
No,
and if they want to
man.
see it, brother, don't give it to them.
Yeah.
Don't give it to
If
them.
they want to see it, then you know what? Meet them outside, take them to dinner, have a nice relationship,
Yeah.
and then let them see it all they want.
No D pics, man. No
But-
D pics.
No, man. And if, you know, women don't want to be hassled. You know, women want to go out and shop, you know, just like you wouldn't want, you know, here we go. I might piss some people off with this one.
Because you know some want it, though. That's the problem, Trinity.
Well, hold on.
Oh, God, go.
All right, guys. You know how, and maybe you can relate to this.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Take me.
This might piss some people
Okay,
off. Whatever.
let's do it.
Let's say you know that feeling you get sometimes, not always, because I know you got a big heart and I know
Right.
you help, and we
Right.
both do.
All right, you're softballing it.
Yes, I'm gonna put that disclaimer out there.
Okay.
We love, we give back, everything else, but let's also kind of have a reality here.
Okay.
You know when you're walking out of a gas station, right, and you're trying to get to your car, you got stuff on your mind, you're trying to get through your day, and you see that person coming up who's obviously homeless or who's obviously just not not somebody you would normally associate with. Essentially, I'm trying to
Okay.
be as polite as I can.
Okay.
You know, they're haggard. Maybe they reek of alcohol or
little
something.
worn.
They're
A little
worn.
worn.
They're stumbling and they're walking up to you. You know that feeling you get like, oh, dude,
Don't talk to me?
please don't talk to me right now.
Yeah.
Like, dude, don't come up and ask me for change and don't
Right.
just. Come on, man.
No
Just-
eye contact.
I just want to get to my truck. I want to go to where I gotta go. Leave me alone, please.
Right.
That's how women feel when you talk to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That same feeling you get where you're like, God, please don't talk to me.
Dude, they feel your thirst.
Yeah. And they're everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Like that's so imagine that feeling you get every day.
All day.
So imagine waking up.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
So as a guy, imagine you wake up and there's a dude in your living room. And you're like, dude, how'd you get in my living room? Why are you here? Leave me
Right.
alone. You kick him out of your house. You log into your internet. You got 1,000 messages from a bunch of those dudes. Hey, man, hey, give me $1, man. Give me a.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, my God, leave me alone. You go out to your car and get ready to go to your job. And there's somebody out to buy your car. Hey, excuse me, man. Hey, can I get $1 from you?
Right.
And then you get to your work. Or you stop at a gas station on the way. 4 or 5 of them come up to you.
Oh, my God.
And then you go to your job. And on the way to your job, there's 4 or 5. And then you go into your job and your boss is like, hey, can I get $1 from you, man? It just everywhere you look constantly is that dude asking you for $1 that you're like, will you stop talking? That's how women feel, guys. That's how they feel. Stop it. Seriously. Stop. Is there ever a situation where you want that dude to come up to you and ask you for $1?
No.
Even if you're willing to give. You don't want them to come up to you, but you will.
Correct.
You'll give them $1. And that's how women. Oh, yeah, thank you so much. That's how they feel. They'll just give you a pity hug because they just, I'll give back.
Right.
But that's how they feel. So guys, you're making women feel like that every day of their lives, man.
And trust me, they know that if you say hi and they say hi back, that you might take their hi wrong.
Yes. Stop.
Because you guys take everything. I mean, guys just take every comment
Yes.
a female says as an invitation.
yeah.
She liked me.
Yeah, she likes me. She wants me.
Yeah.
Nah, bro. Like, she's
Right.
gay. She doesn't
Yeah.
want you. She's gay. She just left her wonderful lesbian friend with a huge strap on. She doesn't want you at all.
Yeah, that's why so many women are now lesbian and bi.
She doesn't want you. You couldn't be
They're
further,
safer with
you
each
couldn't be
other.
further away from what she wants.
Right.
Just because she said hi. She
Right.
doesn't want you, bro.
Right.
Like, but I think that is one of the things that just like I'm just astonished, man.
Yeah.
When I found out it was happening on LinkedIn, because you and I were just joking about how LinkedIn is all
Wow.
professional.
You just shocked me
No,
with
it's
that.
not. No, it's not. It's still there.
Thirsty people, man.
Thirsty.
Thirsty.
God, dude, give it up, man. Stop. You're making me feel like I can't even talk to people these days because of all the guys out there.
Right.
I don't want women to think I'm that dude, so
Yeah.
I go as far out of my way to not be that guy.
And you and I are charismatic.
Yeah,
So everything I do is probably flirting.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean,
You
even
flirt with me all the time. so.
I'm just a flirty person.
Yes, you are.
I'm a flirty person.
Yeah.
So I naturally am very charismatic. I'll flirt with guys and girls, but it's not sexual. It's just the way I communicate.
I just like messing with people.
Yeah.
I like having fun.
Yeah.
You know, I like life's too short to be serious and
Yeah.
angry all the time. Let's have some
Yeah.
fun. Let me throw a joke.
So if I get busted, it's going to be for that.
Yeah.
What
But
they thought I was saying.
But anyways, I think for me that was the analogy that popped in my head.
Yeah.
Was just like stop.
Yeah.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah.
Don't be that person that's making everybody around you just feel uncomfortable.
Right.
And if you're not sure if you're that guy, you're definitely that guy. If you're not sure, then you're definitely.
Yeah.
Like I'm 100%
Yeah.
sure I'm not that dude,
Yeah.
and I feel like I'm safe.
Right.
But if you're questioning in your head, well, yes, you're that guy.
And let me tell you something for the women out there that you kind of play and tinker with some of these guys, and they get more and more
Be
aggressive.
careful.
The level of aggression that you're sensing and feeling gets a lot deeper and dangerous.
Yeah. Be
That-
very
and,
careful.
and what you're doing right there is you're letting that guy know that some women really like that.
yeah.
And so
Well, that's the problem,
So
right?
you may know your boundaries, and you may be safe because you're on the, they don't know where you live
Right.
because it's on the internet, or they don't really have any access to you. But guess what? What about the women that are close to him?
Yeah.
And you're doing this.
He's gonna
You're
take it
hurting
out.
those
Yeah.
young women.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's sad to say, but as women, you're representing all women. Like, you got to understand that. Like, you don't know how this dude's going to take it and everything.
Yeah, because,
else. Don't
because
lead him on.
I'm solid on that. Look, I've joked around for many years saying the worst thing, Hollywood with this moral compass, the worst thing Hollywood ever did is showed movie after movie after movie that says that when you kiss a woman and she says no and slaps you, you just kiss her harder and force it upon her, and eventually that leg's going to come up and she's going to enjoy it, because that's how Hollywood has portrayed women and men relations. They don't want it at first. They lie, kick, scream, hit you, but as long as you keep kissing them,
They'll say yes eventually.
that leg will go up, and then the beautiful music starts playing, and she likes it.
They call that playing hard to get is what they call it.
Yeah, and so that has been the theme of men from early on, but Hollywood has shown us that and has taught us that, and it's deeply embedded in us.
Yeah. Well, it's time for us to change that mold, man.
100%.
It's time for us to start teaching respect.
Yeah, and the women that no does not mean no, you kind of say no playfully.
Yeah. Stop.
Stop that. You're hurting people.
Say what you mean what you say.
Yeah.
Stop giving mixed signals.
Don't give them mixed signals. Just
They're
let them know right up.
they're obviously not smart enough to read the mixed signals.
Right.
So stop giving them.
Yeah.
Be direct.
And if you feel a guy is being flirty, just ask him. But
Yeah.
don't ask him in a flirty way. Are you flirting with me? Don't ask him like that. Say, are you? I just don't want to read your mind. Are you flirting with me? Or are you being serious right now?
Transparency.
And just feel free to say it. Shut him down.
Yeah.
But that way you guys can move forward and let them know that, hey, what you're doing right now, just so you know, just kind of think, be careful.
Makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
be careful.
No, I agree, man.
Don't wait to go have to tell HR. Tell them.
Yeah.
And then if they do it again, then you go to HR. But
Yeah,
tell them
then you raise
first.
the
I think
stakes.
your mom said that really well. She said
Yeah.
she would tell them.
Yeah.
And it would always shut it down. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. She had a moment that the person just didn't know the boundaries.
Right.
And it could be misconstrued as
Right.
harassment.
Right.
But she gave the benefit of the doubt. Maybe you're just an idiot and you don't
Smart.
know.
Smart.
You don't know what boundaries, so these are my boundaries.
Right.
And once those boundaries were set, then they were fine.
That's it.
But some people just don't respect boundaries, and that's when you take it to the next level.
But that's why you have to. But there's also misinterpretation.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you
There's
have
a
to
lot
say
of
it.
that. Yeah.
There's too much of that.
Yeah, especially in text messages.
Right. Oh.
So
forget it.
yeah, we'll get there another day.
Yeah, forget it. Yeah, my wife doesn't come from the era of emojis. So every girl that uses emojis, my wife is like, why they use emoji? I said, Dana, really, everybody does now.
Yeah.
They all do.
Anyways,
So anyway, you got your last
we're-
minutes, brother. You
We're
gotta do
getting
it.
to the end here.
Yep.
I gotta do my tips and I gotta do my sponsors. So
Right on.
let's get started. So hope you guys enjoyed today's show. It was kind of an impromptu thing. Had to get it out there. Nonetheless, I do have some tips for you because if you heard today's show and you believed in some of the concepts or philosophies, you'd be like, hey, how do I apply that? That's what I do. These 3 tips at the end of every single show is to help you apply, give you like an action plan. So I think the first one is we as people got to be careful having our expectations lead to disappointment. We got to understand that we can't expect people to be more than what they are. They're human beings and they're flawed. They're going to do some great stuff, but they can very well do some not so great stuff. It has nothing to do with you. It's just that's the path that they're on, and we have to expect them to be who they are, not who we want them to be. The second one I have here is if you do find yourself in a situation where maybe a hero that let you down. They always say don't meet your heroes. But if you're in a situation where somebody you looked up to, somebody you respect, somebody you admire, kind of let you down a little bit, you got to understand it was that person that let you down and your expectations of that person, not the philosophy itself. So if one of you guys, we'll use the Catholic Church. If you're a Catholic and you're going to church and you're trying to kind of practice that faith, it wasn't the philosophy of Christianity or the philosophy that let you down. It was the Pope. It was the priest. It was everybody who covered up who let you down. Those fallible human beings are what let you down, not the faith itself. And then lastly, for everybody else on the other side of it, remember, no matter who you are somebody's hero. You're somebody that somebody else looks up to. It may be something just as simple as your kids. It might be your spouse. It might be coworkers or friends. Or you might have a status where many people look up. So you always got to behave as if somebody's watching you, because somebody always is watching you. Whether you know it or not, they're watching. And so conduct yourself accordingly. Stop. Just stop. That would be my stop. Anyway, so those are my 3 tips. So now I'm going to go ahead and put out the sponsors. That's, they keep the lights on for us, so we gotta give them some love. The first one I'm going to do is a Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers. Fantastic place. You can find their links to their website on nowmattersmore.org. Second one is Journey Pure, and Journey Pure is making big moves. I'm not sure what exactly they're doing, but I'm seeing a lot of commotion on social media. So Journey Pure is making moves like they always do. Thirdly, I'm going to say Orange County Drug Free Coalition with Carol Burkett and Janet and Eileen and all them down there. Fantastic people. They've been supporting us for a long time, supporting the Dope Doctor since '99. And then last but not least, Now Matters More. We help people get into drug and alcohol treatment. We help them navigate that complex system, and when appropriate, we are able to scholarship some of their treatment as well. If you want to know more about what we do, you can go to nowmattersmore.org, and you can feel free to give, or you can read about us, find out what our mission statement is, or if you or somebody you know needs help, you can reach us at 833 Now Matters. Once again, that's 833 Now Matters. And having said that, I think we're done. So now that you know better, be better. Peace.
I think he plans it all out. Just makes it up as he goes along.
Human knowledge belongs to the world.